much, Elizabeth. Can you hear me okay there? Is that all right? Yes, the back? Wonderful. I am really, really grateful for the opportunity to be here this morning and for the full event, like Alan, and grateful for the precious time that you've given to me today, but very conscious that I'm not really who you come here to listen to, and so I'm not going to take up too much of your time this morning. My name is Claire Brown, and I am in my second full week of employment with Northumberland County. So there is definitely a theme emerging here. This must be part of the induction process, I think. Unfortunately, Alan didn't think to mention about the videoing to me, so I haven't had my best suit dry cleaned, unfortunately. And I was foolish enough to agree to it if I'd known there was the opportunity to say I'd rather not. But I am delighted to be here this morning. My role and my title is not very helpful. Senior Manager for Partnerships and Resources. And that could mean absolutely anything. But if I tell you a little bit about my background, I am former head teacher of 2 schools, not within Northumberland, outside Northumberland. I've also worked previously in senior roles in local authorities, and my most recent post was as an HMI, one of Her Majesty's Inspectors of Education, which involved inspecting schools and universities and a whole range of different provisions. And I've come into this role in Northumberland, and much of what I will do is working with schools, working with head teachers. But the first key task that I've been given, and Sarah, our next speaker, laughed when I said this to her, is about looking at the local area and how joined up we are in terms of working in partnerships between education, health and social care, so that we best meet the needs of the children and young people who have special educational needs and disabilities. Now, can I apologise in advance, because I'm aware that it's quite difficult to read some of these slides from the back, and they were hot off the press last night, so poor Elizabeth didn't have the chance to print them out for you, but I know she will get them to you after the event. And this was literally because I was a late addition to the programme, because I've only just joined Northumberland. So what do we mean when we talk about the local area? Well, we're not talking about Alnwick or Berwick or Hexham. When we talk about the local area, we are talking about all of the education and health and social care services that meet the needs of learners in Northumberland. Okay? And critically, the SEND reforms that came into play in 2014 charged us as a local area with making sure that we work better together to meet those needs of children and young people. And within that, critically, how well do we engage with parents and carers to make sure that we understand how well things are going, we understand what needs to happen differently, and we act on that information. And in the very short space of time that I've been in Northumberland, in this very short 2-week period, what I've already discovered is that there are some pockets of very good practice, but that it's a mixed picture. What I would say to you, and I hope you will take my view objectively in that I am only 2 weeks into this, is that the will and the commitment is there from everybody I've spoken to move forward with that better partnership working and to build on good practice that does exist and build on the plans that are in place for the future. But a big part for me is about moving that partnership with you forward. And one of the very first meetings that I went to in my new role was to a meeting to look at the local area and to look at the local area inspection process that's going to come into place very soon. And I'll talk a little about that in a moment. But at that event, I met Elizabeth and was so impressed when I heard about the work that was going on through In It Together. And she shared some information with me about some of the work that she's been doing, that you have been doing as a group. And included in that was this ladder of participation. And it really struck me as a very poignant image. Because, and I have to thank Contact a Family for allowing me to use it as well, because it's something that they've developed from some of the ladders of participation places out there. But there is a huge journey between the bottom of that ladder, where there is no engagement with parents and carers, to the very top of that ladder, where we're looking at a system that co-produces with parents and carers, that makes sure that you are equal stakeholders in this process. And what we want to do is to look at all of the services that we're offering across education, across health, across social care, and we recognise that different services will be in different places on that ladder. And that in some cases there is a huge journey to make, and in some cases we're already doing some good things, but it could be better to get towards that goal of, as I put on my slide, parents and carers working on decisions that are made in an equal and reciprocal relationship with professionals. That's our ultimate goal. We recognise, I use we broadly, we recognise that in different parts of our offer as a local area, we're at different stages of that. And so, the key next steps, and this is where I come in my role. I'm not an expert when it comes to special educational needs and disabilities. I'll be absolutely upfront with you about that. I'm as much of an expert as any mainstream school head teacher might be, which is not really an expert at all. However, what I do have a lot of experience with is bringing people together, is working to improve partnerships. And actually, I think because I'm not an expert, I bring that objectivity and that ability sometimes to ask the really daft question about why is that happening there and that happening there, and those two things are not joined together. But in a sense, the key thing for me is I need to know what you think. How can we move forward unless we understand that? Now, I know there have been opportunities at consultation events for parents individually to come and give their views. However, that can only ever include the views of a small group of parents. And what I want to try and do is give an opportunity very soon to capture a broader range of views. And so one of our key next steps is going to be a Northumberland-wide parent and carer survey, where we ask you what you think about what we currently do, and you help us to identify the things that need to improve. That's going to happen after Easter. I'm working at the moment on the questions that are going to feature in that survey. I'm going to be working in consultation, not quite co-production because of our timescales, but we're aiming for that within it together to make sure that we're asking the right questions of you. That survey will come to you through a number of different routes. We're sending it out through schools and asking them to pass it on to parents and carers of those children and people that they have on roll, who they know have special educational needs and disabilities. But also in it together, we'll be circulating that survey in an electronic survey. They will be circulating that through a range of means, including their Facebook page, various social media. So that's the first key thing we want to do. The next thing that I've already identified that we need is a strategic group that brings together people within education, health and social care who have the ability to make decisions that change things for children and young people. And we are already developing the terms of reference for that group. I've already spoken to a number of the key players within that group, and in it together have agreed to provide 2 representatives who will sit at the table with the strategic leads from education, health and social care, so that they have that equal voice we talked about with co-production, that equal voice in the decisions that are made about moving forward with SEND. And in terms of that engagement with you, Elizabeth, again, representing you and representing In It Together, will be working with us, and Alison, our parent partnership officer, will have a key role to play in this too, in developing a strategy for across our area, which is about how every service can do a better job of finding out what your views are and improving your voice in that process. I want to mention to you just briefly the fact that Ofsted and the Care Quality Commission have recently announced the joint inspection arrangements for local areas to look at SEND. And they haven't actually published the framework for inspection, so we don't know the precise detail. We've got a pretty clear idea. And I wanted to just give you some of the headlines about that inspection process. It could come any time from May 2016 onwards, we don't know when, roughly at 5-year intervals. It will be a team of inspectors who will work jointly from Ofsted, HMI, and the Care Quality Commission. And they will look at education, health and social care and how well they are working to meet the needs of children and young people. It will be a 5-day inspection with 5 days notice, and that 5 days notice is important because it might have implications for some of you. It will look at children and young people with different types and different levels of need. And it will be looking at a key question. How well has the local area responded to the SEND reforms that were introduced in 2014? Where are they on the journey towards achieving those reforms? There will be a lot of parent and carer involvement in that inspection. There will be many opportunities for you to have a voice within that. The inspectors will be running focus groups in different settings, so different schools, colleges, nurseries, asking to see specific parents and carers and children and young people to talk about their experiences. There will also be discussions with established parent and carer groups like In It Together. They will take feedback from the kinds of events that have already happened in Northumberland, local consultation events, but also things like our survey that we're going to do. And there will also be something with a very fancy title called a webinar. If you've not come across that before, it's a bit of a painful experience where you log in on your computer and you watch a little screen of inspectors, but you can interact with them and give your views. So even in an area with the range of geography that Northumberland's got, there's an opportunity, as long as you've got an internet connection, to be able to engage with the inspection team that way. So how can you help? Well, we're very honest about recognising that things aren't where we want them to be, but that will and that commitment to improve things is there. What we need you to do is to make sure that you continue to share your views with your representatives. In It Together are going to have that place at the table in the strategic group, and they can only represent you if they know your views. Please respond to our survey. We really want a high response rate to this so that we get a representation from parents and carers that's meaningful. And also, when the inspection process happens, please get involved in it. Speak up and give your views. That process is about helping us to improve and to move forward. So it's really key that we play a role in that. And I started with the image of the ladder, and I'm going to end with this image again, which is borrowed from Elizabeth, which really struck me. That, if you want to know how well a pair of shoes fits, you don't ask the person who made the shoes, you ask the person that's wearing the shoes. And actually, that's what we're about. We want to know your views and we want to know how you can help us to improve provision in this local area. So, I hope you have a good day today. I too will be around as with Alan, and a colleague is with us today, Marion, as well, who will be happy to talk to you, hopes to meet you across the course of today. And we really look forward to working with you. So I'm not going to say any more, take any more of your time, but thank you for your time this morning and the warm welcome that I've received, and I hope you have a really brilliant day.